other than they're upset about each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't heard one thing.
Okay, all right, Mr. Manager, do you want to do an agenda overview?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Tonight, we have a short agenda, but some significant presentations. We'll start off with the budget amendment, which there are two ordinances tonight, both an operating budget amendment and a capital budget amendment related to the preliminary surplus from the retreat. And Sabrina Joy Hogg will provide that presentation. We also have a storm recap where we will have Jim Reddick and David Ricks tag team there. There are some lessons learned from the event that, and I believe, Council, you may have some questions too about the event, but we're prepared at that second presentation to address all of those issues. Christine Morris, our Chief Resilience Officer, who got bumped last time we were here, she's back to give you an update on the resilience in Virginia. And then lastly, before one closed session item, we have David Ricks, the Director of Public Works, who will come back and talk a bit about the project management system that we talked a little bit about the last time that we were in the chamber. And Mayor, before I turn it back over to you, Lori Crouch has a couple things that are happening this weekend in Norfolk that she just wants to bring to everybody's attention.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm very excited to share with you. The end of September, the city manager was invited to join the 100 Resilient Cities Director of City Relationships on stage at the 101st Annual International City and County Management Association meeting. Mr. Jones was asked to participate and discuss Norfolk's experience as a resilient community. This was we were all very excited for him when he got the invitation. The conference is actually the largest annual event in the world for local government managers and staff, and it was really a great opportunity for Norfolk to share our story as a city thriving with water and how we are striving to incorporate resilience into city practices. And there was about 450 people in the room, so a lot of folks from around the country got to listen to Mr. Jones and the folks from the Rockefeller Foundation talk about our experience, and it was an exciting highlight for Norfolk. This week in Norfolk, we're celebrating our second annual Visual Arts Week. Even we're only in the second year. This event is growing and growing and growing. Event began in Ocean View this past weekend with the 53rd annual Ocean View Art Show. The Neon Festival is celebrating all achievements in the Arts District this Thursday and Friday, and the week will conclude with the Stockley Gardens Arts Festival this weekend. And it's a wonderful festival. We're getting a lot of actual public, great press about it, but a lot of chatter in the community as Norfolk is the arts and cultural hub of not only the region but really Virginia. So this is an awesome opportunity for us to celebrate the great talent that we have here. And finally, a big, big thank you to the Chrysler Museum's Glass Studio. Their artists graciously volunteered this last weekend to create Norfolk's ornament for the 2015 holiday season at the Governor's Mansion. We asked the artists to help us, and they just pretty much went loose and did everything. From the idea to the design to the final piece, which you see there, they developed the anchor and created that. This anchor ornament will hang with the other handmade ornaments on a large tree in the mansion's ballroom as part of the Executive Mansion's holiday theme, celebrating Virginia's localities. And they just did that in an hour on Saturday. So pretty amazing. Stephen Kirkland is next.
All right. Thank you.
By the way, I was at the Ocean View Arts Festival over the weekend, and it was well attended, but even more, the organizers were really thrilled to be the kickoff event for the Visual Arts Week, and they really feel like, they're finally being recognized, and it's really a great event. I mean, they have exhibitors there who come from all over the Mid-Atlantic. So, okay.
Saturday was a little rough, but
With the weather, I know.
Sunday was beautiful.
I was on Sunday.
yeah, Saturday,
People buy.
they were huddled up.
All right, Stephen, thank you.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Mr. Manager, thank you for allowing me to have a couple of minutes tonight just to talk about what I think is a very special week for the Battleship Wisconsin. In fact, a historic week. October the 15th, 1945, the battleship arrived safely into the United States after World War II. And we're going to be celebrating that this week I think in grand style. And as most of you all know, that battleship really had a hand, quite literally, in winning the war. Just months earlier, it had fired on Okinawa, and it had fired on Iwo Jima. And what we want to do this week is not just celebrate the homecoming of the battleship, but celebrate the battleship's ultimate home here in Norfolk. And so you will see over the coming weeks and months and years, in fact, Nautica's drawing a very close connection between the Battleship Wisconsin and our community. Of course, we love the tourists that come in the summertime. Tens and tens of thousands come from all over the country to see that ship. But we think it's pretty special that this is our ship. And this is our history. You know, we're the world's largest naval base here, and this is our waterfront. So we want to use that ship as a catalyst to bring folks, our community, down to the waterfront. Particularly millennials and others, we just want them down on the waterfront, enjoying that ship in unique and different creative ways. And so we're pretty excited about that. So this week we really are drawing that parallel between our community and our ship. I think that closely parallels the great work that John Martin's done over the last year and a half. We hope it complements what's going on downtown with Waterside and with the Main. We want to be prepared for that. We want to be ready for that. And so you will see us shining a very bright spotlight on that battleship. And we're proud of it, and know you all are too. In fact, tomorrow we're going to be celebrating at Nauticus with a big event. It is a public celebration, a community celebration with food trucks and music. It's just a party. And that is really that kickoff for us to draw that close connection between the residents of Norfolk and the community at large and our battleship. And one of our sponsors, in fact, O'Connor Brewing Company, is launching a beer that was inspired by the Battleship Wisconsin. This is an O'Connor project and not a Nauticus project, but I can tell you that we're proud that they're spotlighting that great ship, and we think it closely parallels what we want to do with that ship in terms of broadening our audience, building our base, and introducing it to a new group of folks. So we're excited about it. We hope you come down tomorrow night. It's just going to be a lot of fun. It really is just going to be a lot of fun and a great party. And so we're excited, and we appreciate your support. The engine room will soon be opening up, 5:30 to 7:30 tomorrow night. So it's we hope to have hundreds and hundreds of folks there and just have a great time. The engine room will soon be opening up on the board of the Battleship Wisconsin, which is a huge, huge asset of ours, and we're excited about that. We're interpreting new spaces all the time. So there's some real energy with that great ship, even as we celebrate its 70th anniversary. Just a couple of other things. Hopefully you've noticed the cruise ships coming in and out. We've had 3 cruise ships in the last week. We've got Carnival coming back on Saturday, and so that's exciting and fun too. Nearly 6,000 passengers in the last week. So thank you all very much.
Great. Good for you, Steve. You know, the Wisconsin was home ported here most of its career. And you correct me, it was in Tokyo Bay when the Japanese surrendered. And the rumor has it that the Japanese were supposed to actually surrender on the Wisconsin. But they moved it to the Missouri because Truman was the president. He was from Missouri. So it pulled rank on it. Okay, Mr. Manager, what else you got?
That's it.
Okay. Mr. Prodigero.
Thank you, Paul. There's a policy, and Tommy and I have run into this a couple times, and I think that the policy deals specifically with civic leagues using public parks. And what happens is the civic leagues must pay an outrageous amount to use the public park. In this case, it's $500 to a civic league that charges $5 dues or $10 dues. They don't have $500 to use a park for a Christmas tree lighting. That being said, I said that I would bring it here, and I find that, and I understand Festivents has the park. I get that, the fee goes to Festivents. But it being a civic league and it being a civic activity, we really need to examine the manager's office perhaps having funds available for civic leagues to request money from the city to cover that amount. These civic leagues don't have a lot. They're out there asking other civic leagues for donations.
But I've never heard of a fee like that. Is that?
It is.
Is it the Town Point Park? Is that?
No,
the
this
one?
was Ocean View.
Oh, Ocean View.
That's a significant amount of money for the Ocean View Civic League to do
Yeah,
a tree
okay.
lighting at Christmas.
Yeah.
And so then they go to the Federation of Civic Leagues and they ask for a grant.
Yeah, but we never, okay.
And so what I'm saying is we need to consider having money set aside. And I understand Fest Events, I understand that, you know, how that system works. I don't have a problem with
Okay,
that.
all right.
But we really do need to have city money set aside for the appropriate type of Christmas tree lightings or whatever they may be to cover those matters. So you need to please look into that because that becomes a very sticky issue.
And we do have grants.
Okay.
We do.
All right,
He's
well,
got-
I think that it came up with the grant, and the grant didn't go through, Marcus. Bottom line,
He's got-
pay it.
Where's Sabrina? Sabrina.
It's a-
Sabrina.
We need to loosen the grant money up, people.
It's an
You
event
gotta
that,
talk to her over here.
the event, you know, started off with maybe 100 people, and it's grown to maybe 300 to 400 people show up. So, I mean, and it is just a quick event. I think the mayor was the first one to flip the switch to turn the tree on, you know, so he even beat me down in Ocean View. I can't believe that. He got to do it
That's
before
because
me.
he was around
When the
When it
beaches
wasn't-
formed, when the beaches
He
were
was in
formed.
Bethlehem as it happened.
Actually, it was on the Wisconsin that took it.
Regardless, we need to loosen the grip on those funds, if there are grants available, loosen the grip. And when we have civic leagues that make those petitions, we need to follow through for the city money for those. Also, I met with Mason Creek residents today, and they're very happy that things are moving along on the dredging issue. But they really need to have, the Corps of Engineers has established October 28th as a comment deadline. There are comments that really need to come from the city. And if it's possible, if we could have somebody from the city, I know Ron has dealt with it, but there's been others, Ron, that have worked with that. If you could look into that, have somebody meet with Bob Vitek, Phil, and get their comments, because it's different when it comes from them, different when it comes from the city. Part of what the issue is where there are two outfalls that don't show dredging in those creeks. And they need to have that clarified, and we need to ask that that be considered part. There are other creeks off of Mason Creek and other outfalls that show dredging. These two don't show it on the map, and I'll give you the copy if you could, Ron. But please contact them before the 28th. I gave them the 25th as a deadline. That still gives us 10 days or so to get that done. They also have other questions that involve an automatic closing of the gate at a certain tide. I mean, they went through this storm fairly well. Backyards did flood, houses didn't, it appears, but still they went through it fairly well. So they have issues that we may have to talk to Scott Ridgell's office about regarding automating the gate with the Navy. And the reason they asked that is there were certain tides that were before the particular high tides that came through on that Sunday afternoon, and that those tides allowed water in and water wasn't going out. So it kind of filled up early. If we could have closed the gate earlier, that would have helped. Of course, that's the Navy issue, but if we can communicate that to them, if they know something's coming, if they know enough to send vessels out to sea, then they should know enough that they need to close the Mason Creek gate earlier, and that would be beneficial. And I'm going to sit down with Ron and give him a list of a couple of the issues that can be answered. You've done a great job, Ron. I appreciate it. You've really taken that mantle and run with it. I appreciate what you've done, but we really do need to get that to them. I think, Paul, that may be it that I have right now. Oh, also, if you could check and let me know the outfalls around Mason Creek, if those were vacuumed out before this storm hit, and give me a yes or a no, and if it's a yes, how soon in advance? Because there's a belief that perhaps we didn't vacuum out some of the Bayview Avenue outfalls. If you could check that. Also, there is, lastly, and I apologize, lastly, there is, for almost a year, there is a barrel on Bayview Avenue at an outfall. What happened was a city worker had gone there to examine the outfall. He picked up the metal top, but dropped it into the outfall. So it's been now covered with a piece of wood and a large orange barrel. It's closer, about a block from Granby Street. If we could go ahead and order the metal top and get rid of the barrel, because the barrel's not appropriate to be there. I understand for liability purposes, and I get that, but it really does need to be fixed. And I think that's all I have. Anything else I do
Okay.
offline.
Mr. Riddick?
A couple of things. I got a call from some residents over in Oakwood in the Coronado section. And I guess they got the reverse call saying not to put their cans out on that Friday. And they were promised that those cans would be picked up, and this is during a storm. And their cans would be picked up on that Tuesday. And a lot of people, put their trash out on that Tuesday and it were not picked up. And so they had to, stay there for another week. I don't know how they got the miscommunication or what happened, but if we do have, promised residents that we're gonna pick something up, I think we need to follow through, with that. Also, I went with the Civic League last night, Sandy Homes, and that's off of Miller Store Road. And it's a small little community nestled over by the airport. And they have problems with speeding down Miller Store Road between Robin Hood and Azalea Garden Road. And they would like for the traffic engineering and the council to explore making that one way. Trash and debris along Miller Store Road, tires, washing machines, etc. I think it's a ditch over there. And also lighting in the community. Okay. Now, my next issue is an observation I'd just like to share and read it into the record. Public housing and affordable housing, it seems that there's a buy-in to gentrify most of our public housing units, Tidewater, Calvert, and at least 40% of Young's. Gentrification is happening nationwide, with Washington, D.C. being a city that's transformed daily. In our history, Norfolk got rid of Robin Hood Apartments, Lakeland, Lafayette Shores, Chesapeake Manor. The community actually wanted housing over there, but they were, outvoted by this council to make that a business park. Ghent, which still leaves a bad taste in my mouth and many others. There is a community called Mariners Watch on Chesapeake Boulevard, and for the life of me, I can't think of what rundown complex that was before the Trump family developed Mariners Watch. If my memory serves me correctly, the Trump family did it. And now we have a presentation at our retreat that deals with the demolition of our public housing communities as we know them. Flooding is the excuse that's used for the demolition of Tidewater and Calvert Park, yet it floods on Mowbray Arch and nobody has said anything about any demolition over there. Norfolk has always tried to control where blacks lived in Norfolk. I say blacks because Norfolk has always conveniently hid its poor white folks. Even today, there are at least 3 trailer parks within our city limits that are neatly tucked away. Upwardly mobile black families never had an opportunity to enjoy new housing in Norfolk. That's why in the late 40s and early 50s, many upwardly black mobile families moved to Ellen-J. Garden, Cavalier Manor, Crest Harbor, Fernwood Farms, and other tracts of land that embraced upwardly mobile black families. The late Teresa Griffin Holloman and others had to file a class action suit against the city of Norfolk to allow blacks to build new homes on Anna Street, known as Broad Creek Shores. I've always believed that there are grounds for a class action suit against the city of Norfolk, the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority, and the Tidewater Board of Realtors and their predecessors, for the way that they have gerrymandered blacks around the city for their gain. Now, what I suggest is that we have a full-day meeting with NRHA and have a serious discussion about how we truly solve our housing problem without impacting the lives of those who can ill afford to fight for themselves. What gives validity to my assertions for the things I've mentioned is because they're all real estate transactions, and the real estate transactions are public record. And I think what I said would be bared out by these real estate transactions and the history of what we've done in Norfolk. I am not looking for any response, from anybody, but that's just something that I wanted to put out there on the record. It's not a council concern, except for the fact that we need to address affordable housing and low-income housing, especially with what's going on in the public housing community. I seriously like to see a full day with the housing authority, you know, just sitting around talking about, you know, what we're gonna do about housing.
Thank you. Mr. Witt?
Secretary was gonna talk about this too, but it was brought up, I guess, at the last meeting about that vacant lot in Riverview, the potential for parking and helping regenerate that business district. Are we at least looking at that, the possibility of acquiring that and do something similar that we've done in other?
We are looking at the 3 lots, and
Right.
there are
Right.
some
I think that's key
opportunities.
to saving the Riverview Theater,
Sure.
which key to regenerating that area.
Yes.
So what are we doing?
So, without negotiating against myself, the 3 lots, and there is an opportunity there for us to do something.
Can we get that out of the roll?
Yes.
All right, that's all I have.
Do we know cost, Marcus?
Altogether, the 3 lots
Mr. Manager.
are, I think it was $800,000 altogether, and we wouldn't recommend to this council to do that.
But we're actively engaged.
Yes.
And for parking, I know that people don't like to use condemnation, but parking is one of the uses that if we had price problems, it's something we might talk about.
We might talk about it differently, but one of the lots goes all the way back to Columbus.
Right.
You know, it goes all the way through, and the people who live in Riverview would not expect us to be parking all the way back into the neighborhood. So that's one of the lots that you don't want.
Right.
The ones that actually front on Granby Street are different. So,
But they all 3 don't. I thought it was, well, anyway, right.
Achieve-
We have to have,
We're on it.
I mean-
some substantial parking.
Right.
there were a lot of fruit trees on that lot years ago, and there was a fence that went across it, but there's, you know, nobody ever parked on it. I mean, it's really a beautiful lot. So, I know, anyway, you wouldn't park cars back there.
That's all I have.
All right, Dr. Whibley?
I know Sabrina's gonna give us an update on the monies for the fund, but we all, that were talking at the state VML, talked about the fact we would really appreciate updates on those funds and the monies and how they're being
Which
spent.
funds are you talking about?
The surplus funds, so that, I know she's gonna present about what the
Okay.
money's gonna be, but we're talking about ongoing, that we have updates on how much has been spent, what's
sure.
happening, because even those of us that maybe somebody else proposed that money, I think we'd all appreciate those updates.
We will,
We're passing the ordinance tonight.
tonight.
Right,
Two ordinances.
so that's the beginning, now we
Right.
want the follow-up.
Right.
And thank you very much for my little graph on who everybody belongs to and what their names are for your
Okay.
administration. Thank, that's it.
Mamie?
Mr. Riddick, you mentioned, and it was part of what I was gonna mention, the trash pickup. I wanna say thank you to all of Team Norfolk for the wonderful job that you did during this storm. Fantastic. But I also wanna say that and what happened, Mr. Riddick, as far as the information, I contacted Lori to say, hey, Lori, the information that was on the Norfolk website was totally different from the information that Norfolk Cares had. And so our citizens were calling into Norfolk Cares, and some of them were looking at what was on the website, and so they quite weren't in agreement. So Lori took care of that right away. The other thing is what Mr. Riddick said, yes, the citizens are a little confused because we tell them to put out their trash on a certain date and that we're going to get to it. But while at the same time, it's almost until the next week before we get to it. So maybe we might want to consider during the storm, we were on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day it was, and the citizens were told to put all of their trash out on that particular day. I think that maybe we could just continue the regularly scheduled pickup, and that would not confuse them. Because with our employees trying to get to everybody on that same day, trash wasn't picked up until 6 p.m., Certain trash pickups didn't take place till Friday, late Friday. And for some of our senior citizens, they were really confused. And they were concerned about having to put their trash cans back and forth. So maybe we might want to consider just sticking to the schedule. But thanks to all of Team Norfolk for the great job that you did during the storm. That was good.
Thank you, and I know David will speak to it a little bit. We did have one communication that was inconsistent with the others that went out that started some of this. And I will, commend Harvey with many of the calls that came in. He returned them personally, and we went to the various homes or at least called to contact them with apologies of the confusion that occurred.
So
Thank you.
that was pretty good. So thank you so very much. And when are we next scheduled to have an update on the schools, where we are with the schools as far as the building, where are we now? And how far we have to go out as far as projected, what's gonna happen next? And also what's going on as far as choosing the materials, the furniture and things like that in each school. For example, if Richard Bowling is designated as an IB school, are we sure, and Tommy, you can help me with this too, are we sure that we have all of the equipment that's necessary for our children to be considered going to school at an IB school? Committees being formed. It's more than just about being with the principal making the decision, but having some involvement with the community, and that's what we did. It was a true blessing to work with Principal Smeagol and getting his school together and everything that we actually learned. It really was to especially have the community involved.
So we could give you, Councilwoman Johnson, an update as soon as the next time council comes together. One of the big keys is that earlier this year, we sent all of the technology money and all of the furniture and fixtures money over to the school system. So they now are in charge of all of the technology and all of the furniture and fixtures.
Marcus saw that one coming. So he sent it over there to let the school board and the school system.
Well, I want us to do a follow-up.
Okay.
Although you sent the money over to Norfolk Public Schools, I think that there needs to be some bumper. And let's see how we can get the community involved. And where are we as far as this school being considered as an IB school?
I think some of that's gonna have to be driven by the school system.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to.
Yeah?
And I know Mr. Goodman, the principal there, has reached out to me about setting up his committee.
Yeah, we've told.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Wanted to share with everybody that we had the VML conference and Councilman Protegero, Councilwoman Whibley, Councilwoman Johnson and myself attended. It was a great event, and I can tell you that Norfolk is a rock star in the state, because almost every single presentation that was done in the breakouts featured something that Norfolk was doing. And so we have a lot to be proud of. We felt like experts when we went to those meetings, and sometimes we're called
Except for
upon.
one of them.
Except for one of them, yeah.
The gun control.
The gun control one, that's right. They were.
It was not pretty.
That's right. They were, would call on us sometimes to add into what we were doing. I attended the workshop about image, and they changed their presentation and added our process that we did to get the new mermaid symbol. And that was a heavily attended. There were probably 50 to 60 different towns or counties that were in that session. And they loved our logo and our mermaid and how we went about doing it. Had a lot of questions. In fact, we may end up getting some phone calls from those towns and localities about our process. But we were featured heavily in that presentation, and everybody loved what we were doing. So just
And
wanted.
Resilient Cities was the one I went to. Of course, it didn't hurt that John Martin's group was chairing this, group.
I went
But still,
to
it was great.
Workforce development, so we were mentioned in workforce development. Yeah, so it was
Bikes,
great.
and then there's infrastructure, there's a presentation on bike trails, so we have a lot to be proud of. And Marcus, I do want to challenge us to eventually host the VML back here. There's a huge desire to bring it back to our city. I think it's been, Brian,
5 years.
6 years, and apparently everybody loved their experience here, so.
And Councilman Smeagol was elected president of the
Urban section.
urban section. Yes. Congratulations.
You're also, aren't you, you got on the council?
Executive committee, yes.
Yeah, executive committee as well, that's great.
So I'm in line to take Paul Frame's place.
That's
next
right.
time.
No, that was my job.
Oh, sorry, that's it, yeah.
Look,
But I will, yeah, I'm
It's gonna
happy.
be a long 6 months.
I think Joe Leap, was at one time head of VML, long time ago. We haven't had anybody in that position in a long time.
So I'm excited to represent our city on that, at that level, and they really do love Norfolk, so it's great to be up there and feel that passion. I do want to ask about
First of all,
cleanup.
I think it's great that you guys went to the meeting. For years, we didn't have anybody.
We were
I
the
got tired of
largest
going to the meetings,
contingent.
but I mean, it's great to have you guys on it.
And just wait till you find out what we propose for all of us to do. We're having a joint meeting with all the city councils
Yes.
of the area.
So what I wanted to say, there's one,
I knew you
yeah,
were gonna
We
do
did.
that.
We
did,
we
Mr.
did that
Mayor.
once, it was a disaster.
Well, we're
Mr.
determined.
Riddington didn't tell you.
for the first time, there was they held regional breakouts, and so all of the council people from Southampton Roads, Tidewater area met together, and we found out that there was a lot of things that we would like to work on together. HRPDC may be an outlet to also do that, so we're going to reach out to Bob Crum about how we can better facilitate communication among the cities and making sure, because they, believe it or not, there are a lot of people who are supportive of things that we're doing, but we don't know that. And as we've discussed with Virginia Beach, there were some conversations with Virginia Beach council members about what they know and what they don't know, and so we think that it's a great opportunity to work together with them.
Well, it's interesting how information does ultimately, keeping in mind that, and Paul, this is, what came about was the idea of understanding.
You guys are the most informed
Well, there were no
council in the
mayors
state.
there, so it was easy to I guess, poke all the bears, the mayors that, as they are. But what's interesting is that information it appears would go to mayors, but not necessarily trickle down to council. And so there was a
Not
lot,
here.
and so there was a lot of discussion
managers.
on that. But the neat thing was, as we entered the room, I saw the sign as we entered the room, I go, oh my God, do they really know what they're about to do? And so we go in, we all sit down, and so the moderator begins, and then he says, well, what do y'all want to talk about? Nobody said anything. It was quiet. And then he said, well, there are these common threads, and he had about 12 of them that affect every one of your cities. And so we're all sitting there, and no one was saying anything. And then finally said, I go, John, the problem is we don't know each other. And then we began with that, and it really opened up, and it was a lot of fun. But there was a mayor from another city, a smaller city. And he said he was the only mayor in the room. It was probably about 30 council people from all of Hampton Roads. And he said, and he expressed his opinion that, yes, I'm a mayor. I get the information, and I don't have to tell you anything. Remember, Terry? He goes, you're just council people. I'm going to tell you anything. That's the manager's responsibility, is what he said.
That's what he said.
That's between you and your manager, is how he put it. And we're all going, what?
Where was this
But it was
guy
a lot of
when
fun. It was a lot of fun. We had a really good time.
It was fun.
And I think we did have the biggest contingent there.
We were rock stars.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
On to cleanup. Ocean View beaches were hit pretty hard, and it may be discussed in Jim's presentation, but we have not cleaned the beaches yet. And there's still a lot of debris and stuff that's on the beaches, and people are starting to complain about it. So I don't know when we're getting to it.
We'll cover that.
And then I do want to discuss a section that was hit pretty hard between Thirsty Camel and Greenies. There's two landmarks for you in Ocean View. But between there's a section of houses that have been really, their beach has been depleting and it got hit pretty hard. But apparently a lot of the rocks that were there holding up some of their land have moved and they are asking for them to be put back there. If we can focus on that section.
And not to get too far in front of David, we're in the process of, so we will do replenishment and even on an emergency level, but he will cover that in
Okay.
the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, and I am concerned about Ocean View Beach Park as well, and it's basically right up on the walkway now. So just if you haven't, I don't know if you've been down there to see, the area that was not hit was Cottage Line. Cottage Line has plenty of sand to be given, and they're ready. They're
willing to sell it.
yes, they're ready to give you as much sand as you want. But as our science has been showing us, East Beach, East Ocean View area, and Willoughby Spit were hit pretty hard, and that bowl in the middle caught all the sand. So, interesting enough, no complaints from that section. The I'm getting a few.
So Marcus, what Tommy said, I think the shore by the park is really been eaten away. I was down there Sunday and walked the boardwalk a little bit and saw it. I was surprised. So somebody's got to pay attention to that.
We'll
Okay.
talk about it. Yes.
Yep. We're not meeting enough, Marcus. That's the problem, right? To talk about these things. Ocean View, Ocean Avenue, and Bay Avenue. Andy and I split Bay Avenue. I have one side. He has the other side. And then Ocean Avenue. These are one-way streets to go in and out to the military base. And apparently the citizens there have been requesting assistance for the city about speeding on there, and they are asking for stop signs to be put in to help slow the traffic. There's a lot of accidents that are occurring, side swiping on the road. We did a few bike lanes in that area, but there still is a need to slow down when it is a major way for people within Norfolk, or if the interstate backs up, to go through and to get into the military base, and they're asking for assistance. And since we just put 80 yield and stop signs up in Larchmont, I'm sure we could put 4 or 5 up on Ocean and Bay Avenue, and the residents would fully support it. They're just kind of over the speeding that's happening through there. That's it. That's all I have.
Real quick, Paul, there's a bus stop I need, if we could consider moving. It's on West Little Creek Road, and it's as you're coming from Titustown toward Ward's Corner at the intersection where we need the bus stop moved from Newport. We need to move to Newport. It needs to come further. It's in the middle of the block right now. It needs to come from Ruthven closer to Newport on West Little Creek Road. And that's because people who attend the fitness center are getting off in the middle of a block, and it's an even further walk to get to the fitness center. And they are elderly, and they want to be able to get there as soon as they can, especially if it's bad weather. So if you could look at moving, it's just moving the round disc closer to the intersection of Newport and Little Creek, bringing it further east. Okay?
Right, okay.
From further away from Ruthven to the intersection of Newport and Little Creek.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Paul.
It's okay. Breck sent all of you a copy of the resolution for the reappointment to vote 6 folks to the Legends of Music Walk of Fame Committee. Hope you guys, because we'll pass that tonight. And then item R8, someone's requesting an easement across city-owned property. We have to schedule it for a public hearing, not a regular agenda item, so that needs to be withdrawn and scheduled for a public hearing. And then we have to schedule a date and time in November to conduct interviews for the city assessor. We're down to 4. And so Breck will be calling all of you to try to see if we can get a common time and date to schedule the interviews. Okay, so, Mr. Manager.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. So Sabrina
Cindy?
will now give you a update on the 2 ordinances tonight that will be up dealing with the FY 2015 surplus.
Good evening. This should be a condensed version of what you saw at the retreat, and leading up to hopefully the adoption of the two ordinances that are presented to you tonight. One is operating and one is capital. So just a quick recap on where we ended the fiscal year of 2015 fiscal year. Again, these numbers are preliminary. The audit has not been completed. Our revenue was about $820 million. We came in within about 0.2% of our projection, and our expenditures were about $802 million. So that leads us to, for the expenditures, it's about a 2.4% less than what we projected to spend, and that causes us to have an $8.5 million surplus, and $1 million is projected for NPS. And in the ordinance tonight, NPS has chosen not to reappropriate those funds at this time. They will come back to us at a later date. Maybe they'll use it for the 2017 budget development, but they will let us know. And after you get through all the designations and our carry forward for the following year that we've already programmed, that leaves us with the $8.5 million surplus. So back in 2013, this council adopted financial policies. And back then, when we adopted the financial policies, our budget was not structurally balanced. That means we had ongoing expenditures tied to one-time revenue. So you passed a set of financial policies to strengthen our fiscal state. One was to achieve structural balance first, and then once we achieved it, we were to fund our reserves. We have 3 reserves. One is the undesignated fund balance, which is at 5%, and then we have the risk management reserve, which a goal of $5 million, and we had the economic downturn reserve, which is also at a goal of $5 million. Back then, these reserves were low. They were about $3 million when we passed the financial policies. And then capital projects and debt reduction. So to put more money towards our capital projects as cash. So with the $8.5 million, the city manager made some recommendations, and you had some subsequent conversations at the retreat. So the use of the $8.5 million, as we discussed back a couple of weeks ago, was $1 million towards the risk management reserve, $1 million towards the downtown reserve, economic downtown reserve. That's your left hand of the slide. And then we are projecting a $3.5 million gap going into 2017. We suggested that maybe you put some money towards that to shorten our gap. That would be maybe paying off some debt early that we could manage. And also that left about $3.5 million towards any city priorities that you wanted to fund. So again, recap of the gaps that we faced over the years. When the manager first came back in 2012, we faced a $32 million gap, and I believe that actually increased to $50 million during the course of budget development with schools. We brought that down to 25, 24, and so on, till 2017. In 2016, we began to take a 2-year look at how we develop our budget. So when we presented the budget back in May of 2016, we already knew what 2017 was going to look like. And back in April, we projected a $5.5 million budget gap between revenues and expenditures. And that's just to keep the lights on today as we know it. No new enhancements, no new salary increases or anything. As we go on, because developing the budget is now a 12-month process, we revised some numbers and revised some expenditure numbers, and we are now at about $3.5 million. That number will change throughout the course of time as we get more updated numbers. Retirement, again, our returns didn't come in as planned, so that number has shifted a little bit. But right now, we're at a $3.5 million gap. And with the recommendation of putting some of the surplus towards it, it helps shorten that gap. So at the retreat, we discussed that we achieved structural balance. We've achieved it now for 2 years in a row. That means our ongoing revenue and our ongoing expenditures are tied. And rating agencies have noticed this. They have commented on our structurally balanced budget. They look towards that when we do our credit rating upgrades. And they look at our healthy reserves. And they've noticed that the council has made a commitment towards putting money towards our reserves. So once you put the additional $2 million for the risk management reserve and the economic downturn reserve, you will have met the policy. So if we go back 3 slides, you are pretty much red. The city was pretty much red with our financial policies. With this $8.5 million distribution, we've turned green. So in 2 years, we've turned green. So it's great fiscal management, and thank you to you all. And also, we talked about putting $3 million towards our closing the gap, and that will put towards our debt reduction and bringing down our debt payments next year. So moving forward with your discussion, that left you with $3.5 million to spend. You have actually, this is taken from the write-up. You put more money towards the Poverty Commission. You put $500,000 towards the Poverty Commission, and this is only the Poverty Commission started in 2014. About September, October last time, you put $500,000 in with the budget amendment. That brings the grand total of $1 million in the Poverty Commission just in 1 year. The Housing Trust Fund, which just started this year with the passing of the fiscal year 2016 budget, we put in $1 million. And with this amendment, you're putting in $400,000 more. That brings it to $1.4 million. Again, addressing the council's priorities and the city's priorities. Body cameras, putting in another $250,000. That will outfit most of our sworn officers out on the street. Again, more than $500,000 between the course of 2 years you've put towards this effort. Denby Park is another one. Last year, actually 2016, in the base budget, we already have $200,000. With this amount, $300,000 brings it to about $500,000. Then you have Wilson Road, Indian River. That's another $300,000. Chesapeake Boulevard, that's a pedestrian crossing. You're putting $200,000 towards that. Arts District, infrastructure improvements, you're putting $200,000 towards there. Ocean View traffic calming, $200,000. Bay Oaks Park is another $100,000. Again, in the ARPO's master plan, we've provided over $2.5 million at this point. I'm sorry? Poplar Hall Drive, that's a pedestrian improvement of $250,000. 5 Points, that's to implement the better block recommendations. Those are also infrastructure improvements. That'll be the first time that we're putting money there. Clean team equipment, you discussed landscaping and some garbage that's along some very narrow streets. So Public Works will be working to figure out how to grab the trash from the narrow streets.
Say that again.
The clean team
The clean
equipment?
team, we want another landscaping crew, truck and crew.
Sure.
Okay.
Small sweeper.
Right, and a
And
small sweeper. Right, Public Works is trying to figure out which way is the best way to achieve grabbing the trash off the narrow roads.
We think cutting grass and landscaping
Right.
and the medians, all that is important enough to put another crew out there.
Yes.
Okay? You can buy the equipment.
Yes. And then school maintenance, another $250,000. There's already $3.5 million in the 2016 budget. That brings it to $3.75. And over the course of several years, I think we've provided over $23 million to the schools for just their school maintenance needs. So what you'll see today in the,
What was the last one?
Chelsea.
oh, I'm sorry, Chelsea neighborhood improvements. We actually had in the 2015, in the other amendment last year, we had $100,000. Along with this one, brings it to $200,000 for Chelsea neighborhood improvements. So all of these, the priorities that you discussed, improve our schools, improve our neighborhoods, and help economic development citywide.
Marcus, I
Yes.
think what Terry said is really important, like getting this money out on the street where it can do some good.
Right.
Okay, and not sit, I mean, I don't mean sitting on it, just sit on it, but I mean, sometimes we budget this stuff, and it's, I mean, we don't spend it.
Right.
It takes years, I mean, the boxing facility is just going out to bid now, we funded it 2 years, I mean, anyway, you know what I mean?
I do, and so that's why I stepped away from the table to talk to Ron. One of the advantages that we have this year is that many of the projects that we're talking about, we've already had the community engagement. So that's been a part of the process. So we are going to give you updates monthly, if you wish, but we're going to spend it. Okay, we're in a better position now than we were a year ago.
So David Ricks emailed me within a week asking me what my vision was for traffic calming down in Ocean View, so they responded pretty quickly.
David has been remarkably responsive. He really has. Thank you for that. I mean, no matter what time of night it is, he's gone. He's been great.
So what you will see today in the ordinance is, we have to do it this way for certain reasons. In the operating ordinance, you'll see a $6.5 million amendment. And that includes the transfer of $2.2 million towards CIP. It's just the way we have to bring in the money for appropriation. You'll also see the $2 million in the operating ordinance. That's just in language. And then you'll see a separate CIP ordinance for $2.2 million. This is just the technical way that we have to do it. Now, with the CIP ordinance, we did trigger, the state code says if it goes above 1% of your current budget, you have to have a public hearing. We did place a notice in the paper, and tonight is the public hearing and the adoption. So with the $8.5 million distribution, you have over 59% that's going towards financial stability of the city. Again, this is great. The rating agencies look for that. Our investors look for that. And you also addressed $3.5 million, 41%, just to address neighborhoods and schools. So again, this is the next steps of adopting the ordinance tonight.
Wasn't that great, Mayor and Council, seeing Sabrina actually talk about spending some money as opposed to...
What we really want to know is how much she got left.
Check her purse. Check her purse.
Too late to rethink this.
I think we had to sedate her before the discussion. She just couldn't get it together.
Couldn't believe it.
Jim, you're up. Thank you. So we have, okay, good.
I was going to say, this is my bodyguard. So, Mr. Mayor, Council, and Mr. Jones, thanks for the opportunity to present on the current flooding issue that we experienced, and thankfully that it wasn't a full-scale impact from Hurricane Joaquin. But as always, it was an opportunity to work together to strengthen Team Norfolk and really work through any hazards that come our way. Real quick on Team Norfolk, I'll kind of talk zombies. Now, Steve is not here anymore. Steve Kirkland had left, but he's going to have zombie pirates over at the Nauticus. And at the same time, we have CDC brochures on hurricane preparedness through a zombie theme. So we're going to work together, and as folks leave that display, we're going to share those resources. So it's all about leveraging the resources and breaking down those silos of excellence. Also, right before Hurricane Joaquin, we had, through our Norfolk Operation Brothers Keeper with Dr. Houston and many of our faith partners, we had a training on hurricane awareness for the faith community, how they can be prepared, how they can work with us, communicate with us, and how we can share information so they can ensure that their house of worship and their congregants are also prepared. Hopefully we didn't talk things into existence, but it was timely, and we worked through, and it's all about breaking down those silos of excellence, working about how we can communicate with each other and how we can communicate with our entire community. So that's what Team Norfolk is all about, and again, Team Norfolk rose to the challenge again this time. So as you can recall, Hurricane Joaquin started making that northward approach down by the islands, and if you remember 2012, Hurricane Sandy did the same thing. And so just like we did with Hurricane Sandy, we started asking those what-if questions, certainly dusting off the plans and making sure that we increase our level of readiness as appropriately, but start having those discussions about this is what happened with Sandy, this is what could potentially happen here. And as you recall, it was a dead hit over in our direction. Then it started going towards North Carolina a bit, and then it went outwards towards the east. So a lot of discussion was on Hurricane Joaquin, and not so much about the other systems that were coming up through the southeast, which we experienced a lot more impacts from in terms of tidal flooding and the like. So this is the information that we had, and again, we are communicating this with all of our Team Norfolk partners, public, private, not-for-profit, higher education, military, and our faith community, sharing all this information so they can base their decisions on the same information that we're using to base ours. So we made our local declaration with the mayor as soon as the governor made his declaration. So that was on September 30th, both at 5:04 p.m. We had schools closed. We didn't do that, but in coordination with, again, we worked so closely with Norfolk Public Schools. They were using the same information we had. We make sure that everything we do is in a coordinated fashion. So schools closed, and we had modified conditions for the city on the 5th. And then we rescinded the declaration on October 5th at 8 p.m. after we determined that there was really minimal damage, nothing really of significance that would initiate a federal declaration, a presidential declaration for a disaster. Our EOC activation, our Emergency Operations Center activation was virtual, meaning we kept folks off the street. They stayed where they were, where their resources and their people were, so they can work through their plans and really be more productive and proactive in their efforts. And it really works. So we use a program called WebEOC. It's a web-based crisis management program, so we kept updates, significant event updates, through that system, as well as through EOC briefings and continuous emails that we either received from the National Weather Service or things that I would craft as the emergency manager and send out as far as what our situational awareness was, what information we were using to rely on, and then what our plans and strategy was for that next operational period. And then the Joint Information Center activation was also virtual. So Lori was working all the different angles there, along with other PIOs, to make sure that we're doing everything we can to answer calls and also put information out. If you remember, Hurricane Sandy, the power outages at that time were minimal. Same here. We had conference calls with Dominion Virginia Power, who are incredibly proactive, and using their tools, we kept tracking where outages might have been. There were certainly more significant outages elsewhere, but here in Norfolk, at any given time, it was like maximum 110, which on a day-to-day basis is pretty impressive. So this is one of the charts that we rely on heavily, and it's an hourly graph that shows us the winds, the temperatures, and the rain forecast, and other things on which we rely. So you could tell up here, these are the regular winds, the sustainment winds, and then here are the gusts right there. The gusts for us were particularly important because that's what was keeping the water in. For the tides to come in and usually go out with a quickness, those tides kept that water in, which meant longer lasting nuisance flooding and flooding into roads and intersections. So we had all this information and saw those winds go up. And between that and the validation from the National Weather Service in Wakefield, we knew that those tides were going to last a lot longer. And not to mention all the rain. The bottom graph that you see, all that rain during that week leading up to this incident made the ground even more saturated. And for those, I mean, I'm sure everyone remembers Hurricane Isabel in 2003. It was the same scenario. Saturated grounds mixed with those those high wind gusts usually equal down trees, and with down trees, down lines. So we were planning for the worst, not only the worst in terms of down trees and down lines, but the worst with Joaquin making that direct impact. So Team Norfolk was stood up. We were leaning forward. We were ready for that worst. And thankfully, again, as it played out, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Speaking of ground saturation, you could tell that we had between 6 to 8 inches of rainfall leading up to the event. So this is just one of the graphics that help us with that. That was one of the things that we were tracking throughout that entire week leading up to the incident. So again, we knew how better to prepare. And then, of course, the tides. And so you can see the different tide cycles. They were going up, and they weren't going down that much. And they were reaching those levels that we typically don't see. I mean, infrequently, maybe a few times a year, we'll see the tides up in the moderate to major section. And for us, that triggers different activations of either closing the floodgate or different things that we're doing. We're tracking all that now, and we saw what type of flooding we experienced here, and that's equaling things that we're putting into our plans for the next time. So we know at 6.5 flooding, 6.5 feet, we're going to know that we can expect flooding in this particular area. This area and the neighborhoods experience 6 inches of flooding in their houses, and just kind of a gauge. So when we know we're going to experience that type of flooding again, of inundation only. Again, this wasn't the significant winds that we would have had and the tidal surge that we would have had with Joaquin. This was just inundation, and we know that baseline, that level of flooding is going to equal this. And so we can kind of help communicate that to the community as well as update our plans. It was an opportunity to showcase Titan, the tidal inundation tracking application for Norfolk. Everyone knows what a great job Fraser Picard does with these tools that are geared towards public safety and informing the community. So we pushed this out, and again, you put the different layer of the elevation of flooding that we're expecting, and that you can zoom in down to the neighborhood level of the type of inundation, again, that we're expecting. And this paid dividends, again, not only for our internal discussion, but along with our K through 12 partners and others, really giving folks an eye view of what we can expect in terms of what the forecast is of the flooding. To provide some more context of the flooding, so you see where we added Hurricane Sandy up there. We weren't that really far away from the flooding that we experienced here. So either this is telling us that we're going to experience this more frequently, or we're just in that high cycle of more frequent events, more significant events. Either way, we're having opportunities. We're being forced to have opportunities to live with the water. I know it was mentioned earlier, thriving with the water. This is an opportunity to live with it. So all these tools that we have, the communication techniques, and everything else, the sharing of information, it's all about working together as Team Norfolk. And Team Norfolk isn't just agencies and organizations. It's our houses of worship, but it's everybody, every homeowner and business, to be able to share information, and through crowdsourcing and the technology that Fraser's putting together, give us information as far as where that flooding is, and to communicate and to share with each other where certain roads are closed or what alternate routes might be available. And also through sharing that information to us, that's more documentation, more information that we could use for mitigation projects in the future. So again, to provide some context, this weather system was up there, but certainly could have been a lot worse.
Jim, can I something
Sure.
real quick on that graph? A lot of people that I spoke with down in Ocean View said that it was pretty much equal to the 2009 nor'easter. So were there parts that maybe experienced more flood waters? I know you guys are gauging off of the actual flood, the tide that comes in, but
Right.
where water was already sitting and didn't go back and then more water got added onto it.
That very well may be the case. The information we get is what the National Weather Service put out as the official observation. So you're exactly right. It's going to differ in different areas. But leading up to this event, we heard, and the Weather Service was saying that this was going to be worse than the twin nor'easters in 2009 and worse than Hurricane Isabel. So we lucked out in that regard, but absolutely. And we're trying to put maps together to better forecast where those areas might be based on the topography of those different areas.
Sir, Jim and I were on a conference call with the governor on Wednesday night around 5, and with a whole bunch of other people too. But they were very, very concerned about what this forecast had for us. These two systems coming together and what might result from that. I mean, they were mobilizing the National Guard. I mean, they were all hands on deck type of thing with what they saw Wednesday afternoon, and that's when he declared his state of emergency.
Absolutely.
So it was pretty scary.
So that's why with Team Norfolk and our command and control element, sheltering, life safety was our number one priority. So we were ready to execute that plan. We had shelters identified and shelter teams on standby, ready to go with geographic areas to contact to let them know that they're going to be vulnerable and to different surge flooding levels. So we were ready to go for that. Thankfully, we didn't have to do it. Parking safe havens was a different type of sheltering that we did provide. So we had 3 areas in downtown, and working with Old Dominion University, they opened up 3 of their garages, and we're working with Norfolk Public Schools to identify more sites that are on higher ground to give folks that place to park their cars and not have them inundated like we see in these pictures here. The infrastructure piece, again, David Ricks and his team do a fantastic job in terms of working with Norfolk Police and closing roads, making sure that we can, as much as we can, prevent flooding and folks driving through floodwaters. And then the internal and external communications, working with and communicating with our own city staff and also throughout Team Norfolk and throughout the entire community. So, I mean, as soon as we were seeing it coming our way, there were actions in place. And again, we are ready for that worst case scenario and thankfully could scale back. So as far as some of the analytics go, again, this is the first time we pushed out Titan, Fraser Picard's, our GIS team's Titan. And you can see that 1,799 users came to that site 2,354 times. So it was used. It's a tool that we can use, public facing, that everyone has access to get better situational awareness on what they can expect. Storm is another tool that Fraser put together where we document some of those calls, all those calls that are coming in terms of downed trees, downed lines, flooded roads, stranded vehicles, all that stuff. It goes in either through 911 or our impact center, and all that's documented and then portrayed in iView, that public safety or that public facing tool on norfolk.gov, which shows dots of where different issues are experienced. That said, that's a nut that we still need to crack. Mr. Jones mentioned the lessons learned, and we're tracking lessons learned throughout all these. And we're learning that there were issues that were reported on a Friday or Saturday that were still there on Monday, Tuesday. So having that the administrative privileges to the right folks or the process by which we go in and close out events that certainly are no longer available, just so we have that more real-time view of exactly what's going on. Request tracker, that's just a little nudge as far as it was discussed during the council retreat. And Mr. Smigiel, I believe you mentioned reporting a broken fence or whatever the issue was. Request tracker, if folks go to the norfolk.gov and type in a request tracker in the subject line, they'll be able to report all kinds of events. And again, this produces a work order for Public Works or whoever the appropriate agency is with feedback and input and updates from our impact center. So that's one more tool that we have in addition to Storm during an actual disaster. Impact, again, those folks are fantastic. They worked 24/7 during some of the time, and then we scaled back because the incident wasn't as dire as we expected. But 1,267 entries into storm, or I'm sorry, into the system, 47 entries into storm, and the top call, again, just like it was during the winter storms and just like it was during Hurricane Sandy, was when is my trash going to get picked up? So we know that, and we are trying to get ahead of that every time as far as communicating that message. I wrote down the issue with Mason Creek and the other ones that you had mentioned, so that will be addressed and updated in our plans. And so again, we take an opportunity all the time to improve and report back to you on those. The iView analytics, again, like I said, I mean, it's excellent for capturing data, those reported flooded streets, intersections, and the like. So, from a mapping perspective, it validates what we already have and gives us information that we can use to apply for mitigation grants. But for real-time analysis, that's something that we're working on. Along with Fraser and his GIS team are coming up with a mobile app which allows folks from their vehicles, not the drivers, of course, the folks that are riding along with them, to provide up-to-date information, very much like an app on a cell phone. So we'll get more real-time information that way. Web and social media analytics, again, Facebook and Twitter are huge for us, along with our Norfolk.gov website. We posted every update to Norfolk.gov. We put everything out through Twitter as well as Facebook, and it worked tremendously. And Lori was fantastic in providing video updates, facilitating video updates, to where we're not just pushing out words and pictures. It's someone behind the camera actually explaining what we're seeing in the Emergency Operations Center, what we're expecting in terms of the forecast, and what folks need to do to take action in terms of being prepared. And those videos averaged around 40,000 views, which is fantastic. Resource requests, like the mayor said, there were requests to the National Guard. We have the first of the 111th, Major Bailey, down the road from us in our Emergency Operations Center. We made the request, just like we did during Hurricane Sandy, for 2 high water vehicles and 2 high water search and rescue teams. They were there, and they were paired up with our fire rescue folks. And the Tidewater four-wheelers, I want to give them a shout out because those were volunteers who were ready. They were ready for the call. I hadn't talked with them over the phone, and they were ready to bring their vehicles and assets over here to help folks get to where they needed to go. Critical infrastructure personnel, folks who have to get to the hospitals or whatever the need was, they were ready to assist. Red Cross also assisted throughout the community with cleanup kits. Again, there were homes that experienced water, up to 6 to 12 inches of water in their homes, which is going to lead to mold and other issues. So they went out and provided cleanup kits for those communities. And likewise, we provided information through the health department on the proper way of using bleach or whatever materials are necessary to prevent and mitigate molding from building up at all. So the impacts, again, from our perspective that we reported up to the state, it was minimal local damage when you consider that we had to meet at least a 800,000 threshold. So again, we reported our issues to the state, but it's not going to turn into a federal declaration. And one other thing from a lessons learned perspective is the National Guard is going to start doing flyovers. They were supposed to have done one here. We haven't gotten the link yet, so we can see at high tide. This is what these different areas are going to look like. Again, that's going to do much for our evacuation considerations, much for Christine and the resilience efforts, everything for our documentation. That type of video, that type of analysis is going to be huge. As far as the beach erosion, I know there was quite a bit of that. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to David Ricks of Public Works.
That was a great briefing.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, Jim. And I've been to other places, and I would say by far none, Jim is one of the finest emergency operations guys that you guys have. And the technology that the Team Norfolk has is really top notch. And us and the public team, we were using that Titan like every hour, every minute, driving around looking at what the Titan said versus was reality. And so I think it just is tremendous. Talking about the beach, looking at in terms of what we've done in terms of investment, the city has invested over $20 million over the past 30 years in terms of beach protection, protection measures. Looking at what has happened with the storm, East Beach and Total Place are some significant areas in terms of what's occurred. And we had basically part of our consultants go out basically Thursday right before the storm, take a look at it, and also right after the storm. And so these are pictures basically along East Beach, taken that Thursday and also that following Tuesday. And here's another place. Just at the Bay Point walkover. There's 2 different points, but the same point on the beach. You can see the difference on that Tuesday in terms of some of the erosion from the storm. And then total place a little more significant. You can see the Tuesday, Thursday before the storm, and then the Tuesday afterwards, and you can see it's a little more significant there.
Did our friend lose his front yard, or his yard?
It's
Is it
close.
gone? It's gone.
Yeah, so,
The guy down there
Yeah.
that fenced in the yard.
yeah. So very significant. So, like I said earlier, we documented conditions right before the storm, and we're in the process of documenting conditions after the storm. And also, we have our normal, basically, documentation of the beach itself in the springtime. We also, right afterwards, we actually have our consultant, we did we call a technological flyover using LiDAR, which is basic radar, to actually survey the beach. It's another way to document the beach issues. And then we had a conversation with the Corps of Engineers in terms of if they could provide any short-term assistance. And they really said, because it wasn't that significant, they can't do anything immediately. But the contract for the beach nourishment is going to go out the bid this Friday. But once we get the survey data back, if we need to modify the amount of sand we need to for the beach nourishment, we can do that. Yes.
Can I ask some questions about that?
Yes.
So we were already moving forward with the Army Corps project, and I know it's being delayed because we basically don't have anybody. We didn't get a good bid to be able to put the sand in. But we had already budgeted money for sand replenishment. Was that being used towards that project or?
Future years.
Future years.
So our match kicks in once the construction is complete.
So we budgeted, I think it was $500,000 for sand replenishment. We can use that now to assist with this. Do we think that we have a company that can do that? Is that just moving sand that we already have, or is it, do we have to go to Thimble Shoals and pull sand?
I'll jump in.
Go ahead.
Familiar.
Yeah, sorry, I know it's
No, go ahead.
a loaded question.
So here's the key. This LiDAR is very important data for us. So we obviously have had the physical survey before and after the storm. The beach team, Chuck Joyner's here, Lee Perkins, have intimate familiarity with the beach, as do you, as to those hot spots and also what it normally looks like. This LiDAR data that we'll get back in probably about 8 to 10 days gives us this 3D look and understanding of the topography there that we haven't traditionally had after a storm. We've been using this for a new look at understanding the dune system. These hot spots that we've identified now, we believe we can do with truck haul. And so we're not into a dredging scenario where we've got to mine it out of the bay or the ocean, that we actually have a deposit of sand that we've used before at the end of Willoughby. And that realistically, at a minimum for Toller Place, we can do truck haul, or we can use interior inland mine resource, sand resources that could be trucked in as well. And so that's within the capacity that we have. And whereas previous storms, it may have taken several months, we believe we can have this done within the next few weeks to a couple months.
Okay, and I know this is controversial. I don't know how Barclay feels about it, but have we looked at getting sand from Cottage Line? I mean, Kate McCoy, she did joke and she said, please come and get sand off of my property. I'll give it to you guys to replenish.
It's a decent thought, but the answer is no. That's not that wouldn't work in this scenario, predominantly because of underlying ownership of the dune system in that area, the permitting that's required to do it in that time period, and the volume of sand that you would not get as opposed to these other resources, and then the physical filtering of those dunes that you would have to do to get that sand to be able to then put it back nourishment. Because
It's my understanding, and Lee, is Lee here?
Chuck is.
Chuck, that there was additional sand that was added onto the Cottage Line dune line. They didn't have any damage, but they actually picked up sand.
It looks like there's a little bit of accretion in the Cottage Line area.
I haven't been able to see it. Nobody sent me pictures yet. I only went down the Willoughby and East Beach area, but what I was saying is, if that sand was added on, could you take it off, leave the existing, the old dune there, or don't touch that, but take the new stuff that piled up?
We're not ruling anything out, but we have looked at
Okay.
those alternatives and ruled ruled some of those out so far.
Okay.
So the good news is, within the existing resources of FY16, the $500,000, that we won't have to wait for the Corps. There are some things that we can do immediately in terms of sand replenishment.
We're gonna have to replace that in the next year's budget when they do crank up though, right?
Yes.
Can you add that into any emergency dollars? Are we allowed to add the work to replenish that? Are we gonna file a claim with, since the governor made that declaration, are they counting this as a named storm?
We don't know that we'll reach that threshold, and then there's also a since there was not a presidential declaration, maybe they'll make it afterwards, but so far there hasn't been a presidential, so there's not that opportunity for reimbursement yet.
Okay. But we should consider that, right? If we're gonna end up using
Yes.
existing funds to cover.
The challenge that comes with beach nourishment and FEMA reimbursement is that you have to have the technical definition of an engineered beach, which we're just shy of. The Army Corps project gives us
Gotcha.
that true technical engineered beach.
Councilman,
We
there's
can't
about,
use it as matching funds against
Right.
them either.
there's about $1 million in our beach nourishment fund. We had money left over in FY15, and we
That's
got
right,
the
there's
$16, so we got about $1 million in our capital budget. And so just looking at some of the history, Isabel was 2003. We actually got some FEMA dollars. That was a declaration, $210,000. And we actually did some pre-storm stuff because of the pending storm. We spent $60,000 there. The nor'easter in 2009, about $44,000 FEMA funds, and it took us till next spring to do that, and Hurricane Irene. So what we indicated that, we're looking at truck hauling operations. December is, that's the time frame, but we're looking at something quicker than that, using basic emergency procurement methods. And then, like I said earlier, the Corps is advertising their project this Friday. But I spoke to the deputy at the Corps that once we get our assessment in terms of how much damage, if we need to modify the amount of sand for the beach nourishment, we have the ability to do that. They can modify their bid, still keep on schedule. That's basically it.
If you guys could put together a letter or something that Andy Barkley and I could send out to our civic leagues in that area. In fact, I'd even be willing to host a meeting one night at Pretlow if you guys want to come and invite anybody to let them know what plans we have, because it is a topic and it's going on Facebook about what is the city going to do right now to help with the emergency.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we do have a meeting scheduled for Friday morning with the Civic League presidents as an
Okay.
extension of our
Good.
data
Okay.
management committee, but we called an emergency meeting so that we could give updates.
Can you just let us know about that and make sure that we know the right people, that everybody's invited to that?
That's it.
Thank you, thanks, David, thank you.
So, Mayor and Council, I guess it goes without saying, I'm extremely proud of the team in the effort that went in place tonight. And I think that in terms of the community, I'm very proud of the community, starting with my 17-year-old daughter, who understood there are certain places not to drive through when you have water. So I think that there's been a lot of communication, a lot of lessons, but this could have been a lot worse. But having a team like this, Mayor, really gives me a lot of confidence.
Sorry, I got to ask one more question. Jim. Oh, Jim. Sorry. You were there. There were a lot of complaints that came in about the school system not making the decision to close early on Friday. I know that decision rests with the superintendent, but how much communication from your department was given to the school system? Because I think the big concern was about the flooding that was happening right at the time of dismissal. And I know those calls are really hard to make. It's, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If people are going to complain either way. But was there not a sense that there was going to be a big issue and just let the kids stay in school, or?
No, that we had pretty close conversations, not only internally, but with briefings from the National Weather Service. So we provided all the information about the different tide cycles and the like. I know a lot of the discussion is, where school buses can or can't go, and beyond the school buses, kids walking to school and having to tread through flooded waters and stuff like that. So like you said, Norfolk schools definitely makes the final decision, but we provide a lot of information leading up.
At one point, can there be a policy in which there's an emergency decision that's made in which you almost have to say you have to make that call as opposed to, and I'm not putting anybody down on the school system side, but they're not experts in this. You guys are the experts. So at some point, if you guys felt like that there was going to be an issue with this, somebody should heed that advice and say, let's do it. Let's move, let's cancel, let's go ahead and start getting kids out now.
So, Councilman Smeagol, I can say that as the time progressed, what started off with just being everybody having the same information changed to phone calls, conversations, and even saying, look, this is what we're going to do as a city. We would urge you to do this with us, and I think as the event progressed, there was more like unity in the decision-making, and I think that's the best way to describe it.
But you, Jim, you were in close conversation with Norfolk Public Schools because I made a call, and I even emailed you. So I know that there was close conversation with Norfolk Public Schools, and as you're saying, Councilman Smeagol, maybe it gets to a point where somebody is going to have to make that decision because the decision was left to Norfolk Public Schools. Here's what is going to happen, close updates. You're going to have to make that call. And we made our call on the city side, but Norfolk Public Schools, as we decided, they decided not to close the schools.
And I think Friday was one of the days in question, and looking at the tide cycle, if schools were to have let out early, that would have been right during the high tide, where we saw a lot of vehicles being flooded throughout the city. It was around the 1 o'clock hour, I believe.
That's right.
So now having those discussions, they decided to stay in, just like we were closing at regular time.
Well, I know you guys are not press for the school system, but I think getting that information out and understanding that there's a reason why it's not released during that time because it actually would have been worse is helpful. And I know that we're focused on the PR of ours, but we probably need to make sure, because I can't tell you how many angry parents there were out there about it. Probably angry for no real reason. They were just seeing that, the city of Norfolk's closing their offices. Why isn't the school system? And so they get hyped up with it. But I think it needs to be explained that it was probably, there's different reasons with downtown flooding, and closing offices compared to schools all around the city and that safety. But maybe we could do some better coordination, with that as well and getting that message out.
All right, Marcus, let's go.
Okay, so the last one before, no, we have two. Okay, so Christine, this is an update from the last council meeting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council and Mr. Manager. This is just a quick update on the National Disaster Resilience Competition Grant. I'm guessing you're sick of hearing it because I'm sick of doing it. We are going to be putting in the proposal on the 27th of this month. It is a state proposal to HUD for the region, and the three cities that are putting forth proposals are Norfolk, Newport News, and Chesapeake. These are the 5 components of the work. Again, we believe that these components align with our guiding principles with respect to neighborhood, the work that the city has been doing. These are the 2 watersheds that we're going to be working in with respect to our requested funds. And the idea coming out of the Dutch dialogue and now engineered further working with the planning department and the rest of the city staff is to the idea is to hold water as far up in the watersheds as you can, use as much green space for sponging, control the flow, clean it while you have it, hold it when you need to, and then when the river will allow to release it. And so the infrastructure improvements in both watersheds will work to do that. They'll also give us an opportunity to do some reconnecting of those grid streets that have been cut off for redevelopment at other times during the city's redevelopment. And so this just gives you an opportunity to reestablish that grid street and to begin to connect the city more clearly across and then down to the river, which access to water is obviously a great asset in Norfolk. This was just a picture that was created by Mac Ball during the Dutch dialogue, but just to give an idea of the amount of green space that it's going to take us in the future to manage the water that we've got, because we need to absorb it as much as possible. And then there'll be some opportunities to have streams as amenities that can also hold water for us in the future. And this is the Ohio Creek watershed. This came out of the work of ODU with Wetlands Watch and Hampton University and the Civic League working together. The idea here is to use as much space as possible to hold water, to reestablish living shorelines across the area, to buffer the waking of the shoreline, and also to lift the shoreline to make it be able to withstand a 10-foot surge. So those are the projects that we'll be bringing forward. Also, the state is asking for resources to do a Resilience Lab Accelerator, and the idea here, as we've talked a lot about, is that the resources that are going to go into making communities more resilient at the coast give a great economic opportunity for companies to fill that new market, and we would like to create in Norfolk an accelerator and a laboratory to accelerate that work in getting the economic benefit of the investments that are going to be coming across coastal communities in the United States and abroad. So that is an update, and we are hopeful that we'll have word in January of 2016 as to if our projects will be funded.
Okay. The graph you had, go back a couple of, no, just before that one.
Sorry.
Go back one.
One more.
In the other direction.
This one?
No,
I'm
it's the
sorry.
one that shows the
Higher.
higher,
Oh, the Ohio?
right,
Uh-huh.
no, the other one, right next, the one just before, yeah.
Okay.
I think the first time you showed that, a couple of us asked for copies of that.
Oh.
Do you have copies of that?
We do. We have that. I
Okay.
can send it to you.
Yeah, I'd like to have. one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
And so, Mayor, members of council, before David comes back up, you can come up, David. This is, I guess, the end point almost to when Secretary Jones came in a while ago and talked to the council about Norfolk being a part of the state submission for this $1 billion grant. So a lot of hard work that's gone into this, and I appreciate all the staff work and effort that's gone behind.
Thank you, members of council. I just want to give you an update in terms of where we're at into our new project management system. To give you a little background, Public Works React, we manage almost close to 200 to 300 projects a year. And our old system basically is the dark ages to the 1990s. And so when I came on board, they were actually looking at a system, and I saw it, and I said, we got to move forward with this because it'd be transformational in terms of what we do. And so the tool that they looked at, and then we contracted work with purchasing is eBuilder. And here's some key clients that they're already working with. There's about 52 public agencies that eBuilder basically have clients with. And the key things are really related to the city manager's objectives in terms of better managed government. This provides better accountability and tracking and all proactive communication in terms of project management. And so in terms of implementation, we started this spring. We're basically on track. All the new projects for FY16 has been uploaded, and we're backloading all the prior year projects. And right now we're validating everything that's on the prior year to do that. In terms of what we're doing is that you will formalize schedule in terms of what the schedule is in the system. As it gets updated, it keeps the original schedule, any changes. And also, we're working with actually Sabrina in terms of working at cash flow, so we can tell her basically when we expect to spend the cash. And then also, we have structured work process in terms of where every piece of that document goes is actually in the system. It tells you who's the next step.
Can we also know what we've approved, and that way we know council approved X million of dollars?
X.
And then that way we know what the end amount is.
Right.
And as we're moving along, this is the windshield I was talking about.
That's correct. And so the key things is looking at
Dashboard or windshield?
Dashboard, I'm sorry.
dashboard. And so one of the key things that
That's what I wanted.
For our inspectors, they actually have
Convertible.
Yes. They have iPads, and so they go out there and do the inspection report. They upload that using the iPad and upload to the system automatically. Versus coming back in the office and typing on the computer. And so what we're looking at doing internally is within our department is looking at electronic signatures, and once we get that formalized and approved, looking at expand it with other agencies. and also looking at coordination with other departments like utilities and other departments. And another piece of this is actually looking at our consultants, our design consultants, and construction contractors to plug into the system. So instead of uploading the data, we actually get the information directly into the system. And so right now, if you look at our current city website, we have about half a dozen projects on the system. All these projects will be uploaded, and then the ones that the council will approve will be uploaded onto the system also. And so the last slide is basically the kind of like a windshield reports that we're looking at. And so we're looking for any comments or concerns. And so this will be a work in progress as we do this. And if you want to tweak it, change it, it's very flexible. And so that's what we're looking to go forward. But key is it's a tremendous change in terms of how we manage our work and communicate within the Team Norfolk.
How can we access that, or for us as council, so we can access this and be able to speak and examine a specific project?
Okay.
So, Councilman, what we're gonna do is back into, and I think David took me literally, we do call this a dashboard. These are typical for construction management.
Right.
We procured the system for our project managers to be more accountable. And so that we can be data-driven, and so that we can have a better interface when the budgets are approved and how they manage their projects. It is desirous at the executive level administration and obviously council to have an idea of how the projects are running. So we need to back into what that forward-facing out of the system is. It has standardized reporting, but it means different things to different people, and it's not necessarily for the manager or for council that would understand everything that's in there. So we're working through, what they're doing right now is run it parallel with FY16 on old systems, frankly, of running sometimes out of spreadsheets. And the new system, and to make sure that the data is right. Because sometimes what might be in the system, we're careful about putting that out there if we know, for example, that a project has multiple years of CIP funding to accomplish it.
Correct.
Yet, the upload of 16, if it's considered a 16 project, it may be in the e-builder systems not carried. So what I'm saying is we need some time to work out those kinks, and what we want to do is start to test some projects and giving you that type of report to see if that's the type of information that helps y'all in order to communicate with the constituents.
Excellent. That's you pegged exactly what we were looking for. I mean, if you have to, and I understand, I'm not a construction guy.
Right.
Dumb it down for a lawyer, okay? I get it, but we just need to, we need to be able to understand where we are and what we're spending and where the project is. Can we also make sure, I didn't see it on there, but also the conference center be put on there, since that should be one that if you can get that in.
We're looking at
So that's an example, one of those suites, it's a public-private partnership managed by the private sector, not in our capital system. But we can make reports.
We should get information from the private sector on that. We have a lot of public money involved in the private sector, so we should be able to take that to our civic. That's terrific. Thank you so much for doing that.
Okay, we're going to go into closed session quickly.
Very quick, yes.
Move the members of council to Summerlin closed meeting on October
Yes,
13,
ma'am.
2015 at 6:47 p.m. for the purpose set out in clause 6, section 711 of the Freedom of Information Act. That is conversation with legal counsel briefings by staff members regarding one legal contractual matter for a lease downtown, where such briefing and open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating posture of the city. Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Proziero?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Terry?
Mr. Nguyen? Mr. Frame?